Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Kelvin P. Ringgold, Prince of Positive, coming to you once again from lovely Liverpool, New York. Intensely Positive Podcast, Evening Edition. Well, we aim to have this out first thing in the morning, and sometimes that doesn't work. But it's still Friday, and this time, instead of looking to what our day can be, we're going to look back and see how our day was. Instead of anticipation for what's to come, we're going to look back with gratitude on what has transpired. I think that's a good idea. And sometimes that's a much, much better perspective anyway, don't you think? Welcome to the Intensely Positive Podcast with your host, Kelvin P. Ringgold. Preset your mindset to make every day count and make positivity your way of life. Are you ready?
Let's just do this.
Today was Veterans Day. So whenever you listen to this, if you're a veteran, know that I value you and thank you for your service. I myself am a veteran, 20 years Air Force, retired, as are most of the males in my family, including my two sons, Kelvin and Michael. Kelvin has served in the Army since January 2002 and is still serving. And Michael served in the U.S. Navy from May 2004 to 2011. And I thank them both, as well as my other family members. Shout out to my cousin Joey, my Uncle Joe, that would be Joey's dad. My father served in the Navy. My brother served in the Air Force. And just so many of my friends around the world I've known in the military. And I have an awful lot of gratitude because my family members who have served have stayed whole during their service. But so many veterans did not. So please never, ever forget that the rights we enjoy every single day are secured by our military, both in and out of the country. You need to remember that. Because sometimes we exercise some rights that they're pretty crazy sometimes. But because of our government, because of our military, because of our philosophies, our military protects your right to keep doing what you're doing, even if you're, well, we'll just leave it like that. Military preserves the right. So when you see a military person, thank them. Period. So for me, that's one thing, several things really to be grateful for. Now, Thanksgiving will be in 2 weeks. And we all have a whole lot more we can be grateful for. I practice gratitude every day. But for grins and giggles, start now. And for each and every day between now and Thanksgiving, write down 3 things each day that you're grateful for. And don't pick the same things every day. Don't be, if you go out and get some macaroni and cheese for lunch, don't be sitting around every day writing, I'm glad I had macaroni and cheese yesterday. Oh, Monday I had macaroni and cheese. That was a really good thing. There are enough things that happen during your day that you can be thankful for. Every day you get in the car and get back out, that's one thing. You go someplace, you come back, you're whole. That's another thing. We have interactions every day, trips, encounters, discoveries, insight, close calls, things we do for people, things people do for us. People come into and out of our lives. I got to say, sometimes it's good when they come in, but sometimes it's even better when they leave. So, you got gratitude on both ends of that spectrum. So do that little exercise and see how much better you feel. And why does that work? It's very simple. What you think about, you bring about. What you focus on grows. It really is that simple. And it doesn't take all that much research to prove it. Just look around your life. Look around the lives of your friends and your associates, and you will see that most of what surrounds them comes directly from their conversation. If they're complaining about adversity, watch and see how much more adversity comes. If they're happy and you know it, and they know it, and they talk about being happy, watch how much additional happiness comes into their lives. And know that when your conversation changes, your beliefs will change. When your beliefs change, your life will change. If you go more negative, your life experience will follow suit. If you go more positive, your life experience will follow suit. Test it in retrospect. Well, we're not even, I can talk. We're not even going to talk about going forward. Test it in retrospect. Look back over your life and the times you've had, what's come out of your mouth, what's manifested in your life. What have you ever talked about that you didn't want to happen that suddenly, oh my gosh, bam, it happened. I didn't want that to happen, but you'll find that you spent a lot of time talking about it. And then it showed up. What you think about, you bring about. What you focus on grows. Test it. Write me, podcast@intenselypositive.com. Let me know what you think. Don't be rude. Just give me your thoughts. Thank you. Here's a fun little thing. Now, last week, I was really, really tired. And you probably heard me complain. I know I complained about structure because I talked about my friend Josh. And Josh beat me up this week about that, too. Oh, no, he didn't. He actually passed the podcast around and said to his friends, Kelvin's trying to figure out why I use profanity. I did not. I wasn't trying to figure that out. I just said he did. However, he still is a conversational one. I still am the more structured one. I'm trying to break out of my box a little bit, right? So last week, I kind of blew off structure and I decided to talk about some of the things I've learned in life, which is how I got started writing in the first place way back in 2003. And these are just short little lessons. So for grins and giggles, I'm going to continue with a few more and then sign off and let you have a most excellent day or evening or weekend or whatever you're having after you listen to this podcast. That was for my Canadian friends. And let me know what you think about these. First of all, no one is immune from the magical healing power of a baby's laugh. Have you ever tried that? One day I was sitting around and I wasn't feeling all that great. And I wanted to feel better. And I remember that whole baby laugh thing. I searched YouTube. Just go to YouTube, put in babies laughing. Or just a baby smile, though you can't normally hear a smile. Or watching a baby smile. That's a very, very healing thing too. But if you want to feel better quick, tune into some babies laughing and because that laughter is so free and its whole body. When a baby laughs, they didn't just go, their whole body shakes, their eyes jiggle, their nose jiggle, they dribble all over their faces, and they just laugh and they enjoy that laughter. And that's the way we need to learn how to laugh. But if you're not doing that right now, try looking at videos on YouTube of babies laughing. And if you can keep a straight face and not smile, I don't know what to say. You can write me at podcast.intenselypositive.com also and let me know about that. But I might suggest you just watch more videos and try harder, right? That's that. Something else for you. Just because you can't see it or you don't believe it doesn't mean it's not real. You are standing on the planet Earth. Now, when you stand straight on the ground, do you feel dizzy? Do you get a little wobbly when you walk across the ground? I'm talking about, on a normal day, not after a bachelor party or something like that. You get a little dizzy when things are happening? Just standing there? Well, you can't see it, but the Earth is spinning. I'm sure you know this, that whole sun up, sun down thing. You figured that out, right? And you can feel a breeze when it blows on your face, but you can't see it. And there's a lot of things out here I have found that people don't necessarily believe in. Have you ever taken a good look at gravity just to see what that looks like? You just think about that stuff. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not real. It's a big lesson. And I really like this one. I have a philosophy. Period. You have a philosophy too. Now, the difference between you and me, most likely, or possibly, I'll say possibly, is because you may not realize what your philosophy is. Because a lot of us believe things, feel things, think things, but we've never taken the time to think them through. So our philosophies are kind of haphazard, and we assemble them over time, and we may not actually know what it is we believe, why we believe what we believe, because we haven't tested it. We haven't looked at it to say, is this really true for me? Or is this something I just picked up and it kind of feels that way and everybody else believes it, so I believe what everybody else believes, and yeah, that's the way it's going to be. I don't know. But I do have my philosophy. I live my philosophy. I sometimes teach my philosophy. Do you know what my philosophy is? Not necessarily, but you don't really have to. But it makes me the person that I am. But I have examined that over time, and I know what that is. If you have a philosophy, and I know you have a philosophy, you need to examine your philosophy and see if it's real. If it really applies to you, if you really believe it, or if you're just tagged on to somebody else's belief to be comfortable. Period. Give it some thought. I call this one a corollary. Or maybe it's not a corollary. But here it is. Have you ever heard of people talking about, you can't trust so-and-so? You can't trust me. They can't be trusted. Here's the thing. Everybody is trustworthy. You just have to know what you can trust them to do or be. The philosophy I used to use was recognize the nature of the beast. There's an old story about a frog and a scorpion. And the frog was going to cross the river and the scorpion needed a ride. And the scorpion convinced him to give him a ride. Although the frog is like, no, you're going to sting me and I'm going to die. But finally he convinced him that, the nature of that scorpion beast was to sting the frog and kill him. And eventually that happened. How does that relate to real life, honest to God human beings, particularly if you're not a little scorpion type thing and have a stinger in your tail? Well, I'll tell you this. A lot of us believe we are a certain way. Some of us believe we're not smart. Some of us believe we're not worthy. Some of us believe we're not good people. That contributes to the nature of your beast. As long as you believe that, your mind will make you that. If you don't think you're a smart person, your brain will give you all the justification you need to say, I'm not a smart person. But again, what you think about, you bring about. What you focus on grows. So when you start to concentrate on what assets you have, what abilities you have, and you're concentrating on show me my abilities, show me how I am excellent, your mind will start to show you those things. Try this out. Got 3 weeks till Thanksgiving. It'll give you something else to be thankful for. What do you think? 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Give it a shot. Here's one more. Communication is really, really, really important. Just because we're talking doesn't mean we're communicating. Communication is an active process, and it takes caring. People who don't care don't communicate. Something I've learned. Here's another one. In a relationship, we need to understand each other's expectations. This does not happen via clairvoyance. After you've communicated your needs and expectations, then you have to decide if you can deal with them. Only then can a relationship work. So you have to communicate your needs and expectations, your desires. Your partner or friend or whatever relationship that is needs to communicate their needs and desires and expectations. And you have to see if they are compatible. And you have to see what you're willing to waver on, if anything. And after that point, you can decide whether or not your relationship is going to work. Something I've learned. Got two more for you. This one is really, really good. Ask me. I wrote it. The older I get, the less stuff matters. And it's got to be really, really good for me to stand in line for it. That's all I'm saying. I don't like lines. All right. And here's one that is very important. You should think about this very, very heavily. All right. I'm reading a book now called The Speed of Trust by Stephen M.R. Covey. We're not going to go into that book because I've only read the first couple of pages, but I've had this other philosophy, this one I'm about to tell you about now. It's very short for a very, very long time. And this is something you need to think about and something you need to inculcate into your life. And that is this. Once you give someone permission to trust you, you need to let them know if you change your mind. You have a nice day.
Wow, that was awesome.